The 2023 Strongman season is over, and that can only mean one thing. Big Laws Official is bringing you our top 10 rankings of 2023. Right, last time we did rankings, we did them individually. This time we have put our minds and our weird little ways of doing things together to bring you one definitive list of who is the top 10 strongmen of 2023.
I'm amazed actually how harmonious this whole process was. Like, you made a few changes to my list in terms of ordering and stuff, and there were a couple of no arguments.
No, we didn't have any arguments. And as always, we are happy to see your thoughts in the comments below. So let us know who you think should be the top 10 of 2023. There are a few ways we've kind of gone about this.
Yeah. So I saw a comment not that long ago saying, we'll just use the top 10 of World's Strongest Man. But you can't do that. Obviously, there's so much more to the sport than just one competition. But also, just making the final of worlds, although that's a great achievement, the groups aren't even balanced. So how can you say it's the same for everyone? You just can't.
Absolutely. There's a lot of factors that come into a ranking. Normally, I like doing a ranking over 2 years. We've only really done this over 1 year, which makes it a little bit harder, I think, because
it makes it easier.
Well, it's an interesting year, really, isn't it? And we've rewarded people for doing well in the big major shows.
Yeah.
We've also rewarded people for competing regularly in big shows. You've got like the top 4 shows, if you like, right now, but then you have all the Giants Live shows and things like that, where some people don't compete in those, which almost protects them if they just focus on the very, very big shows. Because if all you do is say 3 major shows and there's only 10 guys in those shows,
you're arguably the top 10 just by being in those lineups. Yeah.
But if you stepped out of that top level comp and went into one of those where you've got some of the up and coming guys having a shot at you, sometimes your performances will dip. So we've tried to kind of make it as even as possible. I think it's a great list. Let us know your thoughts. Let's get on with it. So we are starting at number 10 with the New Zealander, Matt Ragg. Matt's had an incredible year this year, really burst onto the international scene. He is the champion of New Zealand. He made the final of his first World's Strongest Man this year, doing very, very well, and just recently came second at the World Tour Finals, beating the likes of Mitch Hooper.
Yeah, so although Matt hasn't competed that much this year, like if he'd done more and we'd seen more results, maybe he'd be higher. He did beat Mitch Hooper at the World Tour Final, and he qualified out of arguably one of the 2 toughest groups at World's Strongest Man this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes from this now and pushes on with more competitions to see how he does maybe some of the bigger events as well.
So number 9 on our list is Bobby Thompson. Now, Bobby was a hard one to place. He's had some incredible performances, like again, 3rd place at the Arnold's. He did not make the World's Strongest Man final. However, he was in the group with Pavo Cordak, who had probably his best set of events in the group stages, and Tom Stman as well. And when we did the comparisons across the group, looking at all 30 athletes together, he was actually the 5th best in terms of individual event performances overall. So, Bobby belonged in the final. He was knocked out in the treacherous stone off.
Well, Bobby's a good example of why you can't just go off one competition and just go off World's Strongest Man. Yes, everyone wants to be in great shape for Worlds, but there are many, many factors. And Bobby, along with another athlete that's coming up in a bit, didn't make the final of Worlds. But when you think about that regularity of them performing well in competitions, they deserve to be on this list.
Absolutely. And most recently, Bobby was 5th at the Rogue Invitational as well.
So at number 8, we have Pavo Cordak. Now, Pavo has had an up and down season.
He's actually the one that caused the most arguments, because I had him higher, didn't I?
You had him a little bit higher.
Yeah.
I had to bring him back down a little bit. And, it's not because I don't like Pavo, but when you look at his results, he's had a very split year.
He has.
First half of the year was excellent, winning Europe's Strongest Man, placing 6th at World's Strongest Man. Probably could have been higher with some kind of, interesting rule calls.
No, do you know what? Actually, the points drop didn't make a difference because he was so far in points away from 5th place. So even if he won that event, he would have still been 6th overall in the final.
But it affects your mindset as well.
Yeah, I guess.
When something like that happens. And you did see that with Pavo a little bit.
He sort of dropped.
However, after World's Strongest Man, his season didn't go so well. He picked up a bit of a back injury, saying that he has won a couple of Champions League competitions, and he's always, top 5, top 6 in pretty much any competition he does. I want to see him back fully fit, and a fully fit Pavo is a danger, could definitely push himself up that list next year.
Now, we've only been doing this a couple of years, but this is definitely the lowest we've ever had this person, and it makes me so sad. So number 7 is Alexi Novakov. And just like Pavlo, actually, he started the year really strong. He was 2nd place at Europe's Strongest Man, just missing out when he had really attacking malfunction in the Atlas stones. And he was also on the podium in 3rd place at World's Strongest Man this year. But since then, he's had surgery on an ongoing issue in his elbow, I believe it is, and I mean, he's just not been the Alexi that we're used to seeing.
No, I spoke to him last time at the Rogue Invitational, and he said the plan is to get back in shape for the Arnolds. So, second half of this year, really not been good. I mean, we're just not used to seeing Alexi place outside of a podium normally.
No, we're not.
And then we've had a couple of shows where it's been, it's not been normal Alexi. So that obviously brings him down a little bit. We want to see him back to his best. I'm sure we will. He's still such a young athlete, so much potential to keep doing well in the sport. But right now, this is where Alexi goes. So at number 6, we have Matias Kovski. Now, Matias is an incredible strongman. He's again had an up and down year. Started the year very, very strong with his comeback show, taking 2nd place at the Arnold Strongman Classic. At World's Strongest Man, it's the worst we have ever seen him. He was really not in shape at all. He was injured at the time.
He was.
And you could just really tell he just wasn't in shape at all. It's just not... We're just not used to seeing him like that. However, he bounced back with another podium at the Rogue Invitational, taking 3rd place with a few exceptional performances in that competition. I think this year has been a good confidence boost for Matias. I think we're going to see him compete even more next year and get closer and closer back to his very, very best.
I really hope so. And I know it's only like 2 great performances that didn't result in a win, but he had like 3 event wins in the Arnolds, and I believe it was 2 event wins at the Rogue Invitational.
He's one of, if you kind of go on event wins at competitions, he's got to be one of the top performing athletes currently, even ahead of athletes that are higher up in competition in our ranking. He wins more events than anyone. He just has that one weakness that we all know about. He needs to work on the deadlift, but when he's in shape, super dangerous, and 2 podiums at 2 of the biggest shows, has to be one of the best for this year.
Now, someone who is never off the list, but this will be their last time on the list. 5th place this year, we've got Brian Shaw. Now, Brian won what we consider to be one of the 4 major competitions this year. He would have been higher up overall. Obviously, he only did the 2 competitions, which is why we've sort of balanced him out.
And his World's Strongest Man performance wasn't so good. The performance at the Shaw Classic was fantastic, showing that he is still, on his day, one of the absolute best in the world. But only 2 competitions, and the kind of variation in results can't have him any higher than 5th. However, Brian is one of the greatest strongmen of all time. As you said, this will be the last time we see him on a ranking list, but he's done so much for the sport, and I hope now that he's retiring, he's just going to continue to keep pushing the sport, continue to build the Shaw Classic, and keep doing a great job. But yeah, he finishes as 5th place in the 2023 ranking. So next up, we have Trey Mitchell coming in at 4th place. Now, most of you will know Trey tore his Achilles at the Rogue Invitational, which is a serious injury, and it's going to take him a little while to come back from. But before that, he had 5 very good performances this year. One of the athletes that we see as a major contender of any competition. He was top 5 in pretty much everything that he did.
He had 2 4th place finishes at the Arnold Strongman Classic and World's Strongest Man. So 4th does seem quite fitting here for Trey.
It does. He's got that consistency, and he also won the North American Championships as well. Trey, without question, one of the best in the world. Cannot wait to see him back in action. He just needs to take his time, come back when he's ready, and Trey's just, you've seen that confidence in Trey over the last few years. Want to see him take another big win. Obviously, he won the Shaw Classic 2 times previously. It'd be good to see him win like a World's Strongest Man or a Rogue Invitational or the Arnolds or something like that. I think it's in his destiny to come back and do something like that. So up until this point, Liz and myself, we had a bit of back and forth. We changed a few positions around, but our top 3 we 100% agreed on. That I think most people will agree these 3 athletes this year have been the dominant athletes in terms of the whole season.
Yeah, and in at number 3, if I had a sticker for most improved athlete in terms of climbing the rankings, because last year was not a good year for this person in terms of results, Evan Singleton in at number 3 on our list. Now, Evan has competed 5 times, and his worst placing actually was 5th place at World's Strongest Man in his first World's Strongest Man final. He's won 2 Giants live shows, the Strongman Classic and the World Open, and within those competitions, he has beaten Tom and Mitch Hooper. So just, it's been an excellent year for Evan. He's also placed really highly in the likes of the RAW Invitational and the Strongest Man on Earth.
There really hasn't been a bad result from him. You can see the improvement mentally. We've always known the physical ability is there, but he's starting to really kind of understand how to compose himself. And I'll tell you what, one of his absolute best performances was the World Team Championships, where he was the dominant force on the American team. So at number 2 is the albatross, Tom Stman. He started off with his worst competition of the year at the Arnold Classic, where he placed 6th. Since then, he has not been off a podium. Tom has been showing that the hunger is back since he lost his World's Strongest Man title, if you like. He is hungry to win major shows, been on every podium, including the RAW Invitational, the Shaw Classic. He won the World Tour Finals. I'm looking forward to seeing Tom into 2024. It's going to be an epic year, actually. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But Tom Stman finishing 2023 in 2nd place.
Now, a little birdie has been saying, are you going to do your top 10 video this year? And that birdie is Mitch Hooper, who comes in at number 1 on our list. And I know, obviously you're his coach. Maybe some people might say, oh, there's a bias there. But
there's no bias.
There's no bias because it's not really even close.
I coach Bobby Thompson as well.
You do coach Bobby.
Remember that.
Yeah.
And when we go just off facts, I think it's undeniable that Mitch Hooper is the number 1 this year.
He's won 3 of the 4 major competitions. So the Arnold Strongman Classic, World's Strongest Man, and the RAW Invitational. He has competed 7 times, so he's consistently putting himself out there, and he has been on the podium every single time this year. So he has beaten everyone there is to beat. He has had the best year out of everyone in Strongman this year.
I think what a lot of people don't realise about guys like, if you look at Tom, Mitch and Evan, all 3 of them have competed in the major shows, but they've also not hidden away to compete in other shows as well, where you give those slightly lower guys a chance at you. And most of these guys don't peak for those shows. No. They're focused on the World's Strongest Man, the Arnolds, the RAW Invitational. These are the shows that they're really trying to get themselves in their best shape for, because you cannot be at your best all the time. But they still turn up and put in amazing performances, time and time again. Yeah. I've already spoken to Mitch, and he wants to compete even more next year. He wants to do all the Giants live shows and the major shows as well. So it's going to be another busy year for Mitch. Tom's going to be competing regularly.
Do you know what?
Evan's going to be competing regularly. We have the return of Martins Lissis. We have the return of Thor Bjornsson. Hopefully, Trey Mitchell gets himself in shape. I think 2024 is going to be absolutely epic.
It's going to be so exciting with Martins and Thor coming back. And Tom as well. Even though he did not win World's Strongest Man this year, I feel like this is a better year for him this year than last year.
Well, he's actually competed, and I think that's been really good for him.
Yeah.
And it shows, you do need to compete. I think, especially when you're younger, as you kind of get over 30, maybe you need to start looking after your body a little bit more, being a bit more selective. But when you're in your 20s, get out there and compete and show people what you can do, because that's the time where you can recover a bit quicker and, rack up those title wins.
Build the legacy.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible top 3, I think, this year. It'll be interesting to see what they can all go on and do in 2024. Let us know your thoughts as always. Do you agree? Do you have different people? We have
honourable mentions.
Yeah, go on. I'll let you do your honourable mentions.
Okay, so first in our honourable mentions list, so close to being on this list, was Thomas Evans. Now, Thomas, he is he's competed 4 times this year, and it's been the 4 major shows. Now, like you said, when you only do the major shows, and there's a lineup of 10, you're going to be top 10, which obviously was the case at the Arnolds, where actually he did very well, coming 5th. The RAW Invitational, he did the Shaw Classic, Strongest Man, where he came 6th, I believe.
Yep.
But he did not make the World's Strongest Man final, which is what kind of bumped him off the list, because he wasn't, I consider groups 1 and 3 to be the really stacked groups this year. He wasn't in either of those, and he didn't make the final. So he's so close, though. He's pretty much in.
He's a great
He's an honorary member of the top 10. Another that's right on the cusp, I feel, is Oscar Zilakowski, who won the Amateur Arnolds this year, OSG Europes, and most impressive to me was the Strongman Champions League final. And I think just to get on this list, what we need to see is Oscar against some of the bigger names and see how he holds his own against
we saw him
those.
at the Giants Live, which is good.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to go on and continue to improve.
Yeah,
He's getting
100%.
better all the time. Certainly an athlete to look out for in 2024.
Ivor Schmaukstelis, also good friend of ours, always on the cusp, isn't he?
Yeah, he's another one that, like, what you've got to respect about Ivers is he competes so regularly.
Yeah, he does.
The reason he's not in the top 10 is because at the major shows this year, he hasn't done quite as well. However, he dominates some of those slightly lower shows. I mean, the Champions League, he's won 3 of this year.
Well, he won 2 Champions League and the competition in Latvia as well. He won by Danis Sagaris.
Yeah.
But he didn't make the final of Worlds. He was 12th at the Shore Classic this year. But he was on the podium at Europe's Strongest Man, which was a great result.
He was indeed. He is one of those great performers, just outside that top 10, I think. But again, on his day, very, very dangerous.
He can easily sneak back in. And I know some people are going to say, what the hell, where is Luke Stoltman on the list? Luke is again right on that cusp, I feel, because he had 2 5th places at Giants Live shows this year. And then he also made the World's Strongest Man final. So, you know, like, I feel that bottom third of the list, some of those names are interchangeable and you could swap someone out for someone else. But I am happy with our 10. I feel quite comfortable with our 10.
I'm very happy with our 10. I think it's the right 10 for right now. As we know with Strongman, everything changes. If we did this ranking for the first half of the season, it would have been completely different again.
Yeah, it would have been.
So that is the exciting thing with Strongman. We never know what's going to happen. We've got new athletes coming through, older athletes retiring, lots of changes, athletes coming back. 2024 is going to be crazy. Let us know your thoughts, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like, and we'll catch you guys soon. Take care.